Well, hello, welcome to ILoveGay today. And we are with Ebony Bell from Tagg Magazine in DC. How are you, Ebony?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I love seeing you. We were just chatting. I haven't seen you since the NGLCC conference that was in Tampa like about 2 years ago or so.
Yeah, it might be more than 2 years at this point, but yeah,
It's like a lifetime ago.
exactly.
Everything pre-COVID is like a lifetime ago.
True. That's so true. Yeah. So who knows how long ago it was, but too long for us not to see each other.
I agree. But no, I just wanted to, I love what you do. And you're one of the reasons I love it is because you're one of those few media companies out there that's what I would call truly multimedia, which is that you're print, then you're online, and you're podcasting and video. You've just got all these different touch points out there, and
Yeah.
but yeah, just tell us a little bit about what you do and kind of how you got started and so forth.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I'm the owner, editor of Tagg Magazine. For those who don't know, Tagg is a print publication, website, a couple podcast shows for everything lesbian, queer, and under the rainbow.
Yeah.
So, we started 8 years ago, specifically because we were seeing a lack of queer women's stories being told in LGBTQ media in general. It was a lot of stories and images of white gay men, which is fine, right? If that's your audience. But I felt like queer women's stories deserve to be heard. We deserve to be seen, especially queer women of color. So 8 years ago, I decided to leave my job and start something that I thought was really important. And that was telling our stories. So I started Tag a year ago, a print publication, or 8 years ago, a print publication, and we've been moving and shaking ever since. So it's been, yeah, it's just been a really cool journey. We started off with the print. Our mission was always to provide resources, tell stories, and bring people together. So as you can imagine, a lot of things have changed, in 8 years. We started off with mainly the print, but then we started to do in-person events here in DC just because that's where we're located. But of course, our content, our subscribers are all across the country, which is amazing. And then, of course, we have resources online for wherever you are. If you're in Florida, we have LGBTQ resources you can find on our page, things like that. That's always been the mission, was to tell our stories, provide resources,
Yeah.
and bring folks together. And throughout the 8 years, we've done that. And I feel like we've really grown as
Yeah.
well in doing that and bringing more and more people together, bringing in connections. I love to see that we've had a few couples meet thanks to Tag, and now they're married and have literally, and have babies and things like that. So it's just really cool to see what Tag continues to do. And that's always just been, our mission. And I mentioned earlier, now we have a couple podcast shows, Homo Ground, which is queer music related, and Les Hangout as well. So the goal is to just continue to keep growing and keep our stories going. That's the main thing, is how do we reach people that need to hear these stories?
Yeah, and reach them wherever they may be,
Exactly.
whether they're in the office with their headphones and trying to tune out their work environments. They could just focus on whatever is they're listening to at that time.
Right.
I know those are becoming bigger and bigger aspects. It's just all those different touch points out there.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I love that. You're also, I was going to talk to you because you kind of mentioned it though already, because being in DC, I noticed that you're very active there and you do a lot of things locally, but at the end of the day, you're still, you kind of probably look at yourself more as a nationwide or national publication slash website as opposed to local there.
Yeah. So we started out in, or let me back up and give you a little bit of DC me, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, so I essentially grew up in the, as we call it here, the DMV area, right? DC, Maryland, Virginia. When I got out of college, I became highly involved in the LGBTQ community before starting Tag. So working with Capital Pride on events. I started the Capital Queer Prom, which was a second chance prom for people 21 and up. And did that for like 7 years, along with other things, throughout the year, even being a drag king for a little bit, all of it. So I feel like I really got my feet wet in the community, especially here in DC. And DC is such an amazing place to be, very eclectic and unique, and very much having open arms and accepting me, right? And I feel like it was a great place to get my start, I guess, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But it's a great community of amazing people and nonprofits and leaders. We have the human rights campaign out here. We just have a lot going on here. Obviously, we're a political town, so to speak, and all of that. So um, when I started the magazine, it definitely was DC focused at first because I wanted to see that here. That's where I lived. That's the stories I was and wasn't seeing.
Yeah.
And We actually started out with your connection to the lesbian DC community. But again, communities change all over, right? Here in DC, all over. And we're like, we're more than just lesbian.
Yeah.
However, I don't want to ever erase that word because there are people that identify as lesbian. But we have to make sure, like a lot of businesses, we have to move with the times, right? And so it was, how do we continue to keep our love here in DC, but reach a lot of people? And a lot of ways that we did that was through events, right? That I mentioned before, and keeping that here in DC. But now it's just even more exciting to share that love across the country, right? But we still have that DC love and support here. We have a story that's coming out. And it's really cool to have people say, hey, we want Tagg to have it first, right? Because there's that like DC love or whatever. So anyway, DC is awesome. It's a great place to be.
Yeah.
But I'm very grateful that we have folks all across the country that work for us, that put in the time and all of that. So
I
yeah.
love that. That makes sense because that's what, because I initially did think of you as always very DC, just for just for what I had seen. But yeah, I definitely can tell that you're definitely broadened over the years.
Yeah, it's
But
exciting.
but we love your community down there. We work with Capital Pride. We were doing a bunch of work and promotions for them before COVID hit, and then just last month we interviewed Racine, and
Oh, Racine is a
uh,
treasure.
she's amazing. And so we
Yeah.
had a great interview. Really enjoyed that time together. And so, and it's also the same thing as even how I stay on top of what you're doing. Um, uh, she's very good at posting, and her team is just really good at posting online and doing it in a way that really just sort of makes sure that their posts get seen. They're very engaged. They think of others. And so
Yeah.
they hit all the right touch points, doing everything
Yeah, they
right.
do.
Yeah.
They're great. Racine is a DC treasure for anyone who doesn't know her. And then, of course, if you haven't, please go back to whatever episode that was, because I'm sure it was a great interview.
It was fun. And but I've been watching that you've been doing like a lot of different you're on panels and a lot of different things to kind of also help both you're contributing, you're extending your influence and so forth. But is that working well for you as well?
Yeah, I'm always honored when an organization reaches out and wants me to participate in some shape or form, and I love doing it. Like it's a great way to meet people, and I've always kind of, I guess, had that desire, right, to um, moderate, host, or whatever the case might be. So this is just a great opportunity to mix two things that I love, right?
Yeah.
And that's doing LGBTQ women's media, but also being able to talk to folks and learn things from other people. Like, this weekend, working with Pride and Less Prejudice, talking about LGBTQ media representation, right? And being able to have that discussion as a moderator with people like Daryl Stevens from Noah's Ark and Nicole
Yeah.
Maines from Supergirl is just really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because not only do I get to meet them, but I get to talk about something that I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable on, but always love to hear what other people think about it. So it's been great.
Yeah.
Like I said, it allows me to grow, and it also allows Tagg to grow, I think is a really good way to put it. And since I started doing it, it just happens more and more and more, which is really cool. I think one of the coolest things that I did, I think it was last year, was NBC did a Pride and Protest segment. And I
Okay.
was just thrilled to be asked to be on it and talk about the LGBTQ community and how being a Black queer person correlates with Black Lives Matter movement and all of that. And so to be able to participate in things like this and have my voice be heard is always great. You know, I think visibility and having a voice is always great, no matter who you are. I have the opportunity these days. I also work with Campus Speak, and so I'm able to talk about diversity, allyship, entrepreneurship, with tons of schools and young people and companies. I'm doing one with the skincare company this weekend, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
But what really is cool about it, not that I just get to talk and talk and talk, but to see people really want to learn, right? Really want to get educated, get the information, even follow up and say, okay, this is great. I have these questions. We want to do better. Like, that is such a great feeling, to be able to put something out and have people actually get something from it, or have that one person say, you know, I'm so happy you talked about this. I didn't know about X, Y, and Z, and you know, now I'm going to do this. Like, there's nothing like that feeling at all. So it's just been a great journey, and
Yeah.
hopefully continues to be.
I can tell it will. With your passion and enthusiasm, how could it not?
Yeah. Thank you.
I love this. I really do. And I very much look forward to when, I feel like we can all see light at the end of the tunnel right now. Things feel
Yes,
better this year.
absolutely.
And so I know I'll be at the IG. You don't do this, the travel stuff as much. I'll be at the IGLTA convention, which is going to be like one of the first conventions coming back, but that's in September in Atlanta. So I'll definitely be at that one. And wherever the NGLCC is going to be this year, I'm hoping that they'll be able to do that in the real world so we can see each other again as well.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would
It
be really
would.
nice.
I'd like that. Well, thanks so much for being here and just sharing some of your time and your story with our audience.
Thank you for having me, Matt. You are amazing. Keep up the great work you continue to do.
Well, thank you so much. Great seeing you.
Feels good, so good.